The Federal Trade Commission is banning Genshin Impact from selling loot boxes to teens that are under 16 years old, as well as requiring them for everybody to offer ways to purchase loot boxes, aka acquainted fates, for a direct dollar amount, as opposed to only being able to buy them with primogems, and other restrictions on how they sell things in the game. Let's talk about it. First, there's all this stuff, so I do want to read it first, and I do believe that this will apply not just to Genshin Impact, but to their other games as well. I believe it's on the company, not just the game, but we'll go through it. The maker of the video game Genshin Impact has agreed to pay 20 million, which is nothing, by the way, and to block children from under 16 from making in-game purchases without parental consent, to settle the Federal Trade Commission's allegations that the company violated a children's privacy law and deceived children and other users about the real costs of in-game transactions and odds of obtaining rare prizes. And for the record, I am 100% in support of every restriction that is placed upon gacha companies. Obviously, I love Genshin Impact and I make videos on the game, so obviously I'm at least complicit in all of these activities, but I do think it is wrong how obfuscated the costs are and how they use gambling tactics and dark patterns, scary word, to manipulate people into spending money and not accurately and clearly disclosing how much things cost. I think it's really bad practice, and every restriction that we get is good, in my opinion. I'm all for them charging whatever price they want. You can make a character cost $1,000 for all I care, but to obfuscate it behind gacha is not good. Let's talk about these restrictions and exactly what we're gonna get. Genshin Impact deceived children's, teens, and other players in spending hundreds of dollars on prizes they stood little chance of winning. True, honestly, said Samuel Levine, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. Companies that deploy these dark pattern tactics will be held accountable if they deceive players, particularly kids and teens, about the true cost of in-game transactions. I totally agree. There's no reason to have to buy Genesis crystals, convert them to primogems, convert them to acquainted fates, and then you can pull on the banner, and it's kind of tricky and in the fine print to figure out what the rates even are. This is not good. It should be obvious. It should very obviously tell you this is how much a pull costs and these are the odds, and here is your pity. It should be very obvious. Anyway, a complaint filed by the Department of Justice upon a referral from the commission alleged that Singapore-based Cognisphere and its California-based subsidiary Cognisphere LLC wish to do business in the United States as Hoyoverse actively marketed Genshin Impact to children and collected personal information from them in violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule. The company further charged that Hoyoverse deceived players about the odds of winning particularly sought-after 5-star loot boxes and how much it would cost to open loot boxes to win the prizes. It also, I find it interesting how they call them specifically 5-star loot box prizes. What is considered the box? Is each acquainted fate considered a box and you open the acquainted fate in order to get what's inside? That seems to be what they must mean. I can't think of it being any other way. It also alleged that the confusing virtual currency system that players had to navigate to open loot boxes and the marketing and promotion tactics used to entice players to open loot boxes were unfair to children and teenagers. Yes, it is confusing, and I think it's confusing for everyone. There's just no reason for all these different currencies. It's way too confusing to figure out how much a pull costs, how much a 10 pull costs, and how much you've spent so far. It's way too confusing. Popular among children and teens, Genshin Impact is free to download but has generated significant revenue through the sale of in-game virtual currency and other content. Players advance in the game by collecting virtual heroes, forming a team, and using heroes' ability to complete tasks. 5-star heroes are the most desirable to collect given their powers and can only be obtained by opening loot boxes, which players can purchase using virtual currency. True. By the way, obviously, I still like the game enough to play the game. Like, this is where you guys have to understand, because I know people in the comments, why are you playing it if it's so bad? Well, because I really like it, and I like it enough that I'm willing to deal with the bad things. And you can argue whether that's moral or not moral or whatever, and you're welcome to have whatever opinion you want, but that's my opinion, is that I do find these particular things about it the worst. This is worse to me than any of the other issues based on Genshin. Basically, I think this is the worst. The worst thing that Genshin does is the things that all gacha companies do, which is obfuscate currency, etc., etc. And I'm really glad that they're gonna have to change. We'll see how much they have to change, though. It might not be as much as I would like, but any amount of change is good. The complaint alleges that Genshin Impact's purchasing process obscures the reality that consumers commonly must spend large amounts of real money to obtain 5-star prizes. Very true, it costs so much. And that some children have spent hundreds or even thousands of dollars to win them. The complaint alleges that the system is challenging and confusing. True, particularly for children and teens, for everyone. Players must exchange real dollars for bundles of virtual currency, then have to be re-exchanged multiple times to open loot boxes, with exchange rates in unusual denominations. So true. This complicated system, according to this complaint, misleads consumers about the amount of money that players spend on loot boxes on an ongoing basis, and the amount of money that players would likely need to spend to obtain certain prizes. I still, after buying so many Genesis crystals, I still don't know how much it costs on average to get a 5-star, because frankly at some point you just stop caring because you've spent such a ridiculous amount of money. I think it's like $300 sometimes, which is crazy. Hoyoverse derives consumer demand for Genshin Impact's loot boxes through several promotional channels inside and outside the game, which advertise that desirable prizes will be available only on a limited time basis. Very true. This includes using virtual in-game event banners to promote these limited time prizes on social media influencers to glamorize the excitement of opening loot boxes. True. One of the reasons why I stopped doing pull videos, but not the only reason. The views weren't that high, but sometimes they were. I'm definitely not a saint. I wasn't against doing the pull videos, but I did always feel a bit bad about it. And it definitely was part of the decision for not doing those anymore. Genshin Impact uses anime-style cartoon graphics, bright and colorful animation, several characters who have the speech or appearance of children to appeal to children. Hoyoverse has spent millions of dollars hiring social media influencers, many of whom are popular with children, to promote Genshin Impact to their respective audiences on social media platforms. Yeah, very true. I don't know how many children watch this channel, to be honest, because obviously the analytics show most people are like almost like 99% are above 18, but I know most kids lie about their age, so I really have no idea how many are actually over 18. I think about half are in 18 to 25, and then half are older than that, around there. The complaint alleges that the company's event banners and influencer campaigns give players the impression that they will have better odds of obtaining 5-star being promoted than they have in reality. Probably true. Although some of my wishing videos give you the real odds. COPPA violations. In addition to unfairly marketing loot boxes, the complaint alleges that they fail to apply with the COPPA rule, which requires online services and websites directed to children under 13 to notify parents about the personal information they collect and to obtain verifiable parental consent before collecting and using any personal information. It's true, because they send the surveys, and apparently if you click under 13, you can still give personal information, which is not allowed. So this is what they have to pay the 20 million monetary penalty to prevent. So here are the specific things that they're being banned for. Prohibited from allowing children under 16 to purchase loot boxes in their video games without a parent's affirmative express consent. Good change. Prohibited from selling loot boxes using virtual currency without providing an option for consumers to purchase them directly with real money. So this would require Genshin Impact to sell Acquainted Fates for a real amount of money. I don't like providing an option, because they could just make the option like more expensive, but I guess at least it would give you an idea of the amount. But I don't think that this is enough, but I mean, like I said, any change is better than nothing. I don't know. Prohibited from misrepresenting loot box odds, prices, and features. This is too vague. I don't know that they're misrepresenting loot box odds, prices, and features. I don't know if they're doing that. The odds are stated, they're just not clear enough. Prices and features, I don't think that they're misrepresenting them. I think that they're kind of trickily done, but that's more because of this. They're not like saying that the odds are one thing, but the odds are something else. And when you see polls online, a lot of the polls are fail polls anyways. Even from sponsored creators, they're still like, they usually, I guess this is like a ban from just showing the moment, like getting an early 5-star, and that's the only thing it shows. Most wishing videos I've seen have the whole range of good luck to bad luck, especially if you watch them over time. So I don't know if they're really doing this, but I mean, definitely it shouldn't be allowed. Required, but I think this is already not allowed, so I don't know. Required to disclose loot box odds and exchange rates for a multi-tiered virtual currency. See, they do disclose the loot box odds and the exchange rates. It's just not clear enough. So I feel like they missed the mark on this as well. Like, it's not like you don't know what the exchange rate is. It's just not, it's not very clear. Required to delete any personal information previously collected from children under 13 unless they obtain parental consent to retain such data, and required a copy. So this is the only thing I see. Like, obviously this is good, and these two are really the only things that I see changing for the majority of people, because these are just too vague, like these two, and I don't know that they can prove that they're actually doing these things. So I think you should expect Genshin to start selling Acquainted Fates for a direct price on top of selling Genesis crystals. I wish you just couldn't sell Genesis crystals. I wish they would have to sell Acquainted Fates directly, so you know how much you're spending on pulls. That's what I want. And so this is the Cognosphere statement as of today. Has reached a settlement agreement with the United States. A statement from Cognosphere is below. So they actually, this wasn't just alleged and nothing happened. The agreement was made. Animation style games and shows are well received by global audiences. Genshin Impact is popular free-to-play anime style game designed for older teens and adults. While we believe many of the FTC allegations are inaccurate, we agreed to this settlement because we value the trust of our community and share a commitment to transparency for our players. Under this agreement, we'll introduce new age gate and parental control protections and increase our in-game disclosures on virtual currency and rewards for players in the US among the coming months. I wonder if players in Canada will be will be included in that, or if it'll just be the United States. Increase our in-game disclosure around virtual currency and rewards. That would be good. Honestly, if it was very, very clear how much you were spending for another pull, that would be the biggest thing, because I really do think because what it does is when you have to spend $15-$20 per 10 pull or whatever it is, and then I think it's around 15 in the United States after you use your first time purchase bonus, and it's like 20 Canadian, or if it's 15, maybe it's 15 Canadian, 10 US, whatever it is, it's a lot and it feels bad to spend. And so if you know how much you're spending when you're spending, that is going to encourage people to be smarter with their money. Just by knowing how much you're spending is very, very powerful. So it'll be really interesting to see what exactly gets implemented. I know that there will be people that say, well, this isn't enough, it should have been much more strict, and this is sort of a slap on the wrist, nothing's really going to change. That may be true, but I think we also do have to celebrate the wins, and the fact that they're starting to crack down on this more. Like, you could say it's not enough and that's a bad thing, but I don't know if not enough is worse than nothing. Like, if it's nothing, then the next game is just as bad or worse, and then the next game is just as bad. At least if you do this, then maybe we can trend towards better. I feel like some change that's good is better than no change, personally, and I would like to see more in the future. So I did want to look at a few of the comments that are going in here. There, as predicted, there are a lot of people who says that it is a nothing burger, that nothing's really going to change. They are going to have to offer pulls for the price that they actually cost on the shop. There's going to have to be some option to not purchase pulls with in-game currency. So that is something. I know it's pretty much nothing, but it is definitely something, and it is definitely impactful, as I described before. A lot of people are complaining that they're doing this to a Chinese game, but not doing it to other games such as CSGO. I don't know anything about CSGO, but people are talking about them, and EA also has loot boxes, and League of Legends or something. So there are lots of people that are saying that they're going after specifically Chinese games where other games have loot boxes too. And of course, something that we're all thinking as I'm reading it, but I'm not even saying it because it's so obvious, is that kids are just gonna put I'm over 16. They're not, just like they do on my YouTube channel, they're just going to put over 16 on this, so it won't really prevent the collection of personal information. And I totally agree, 20 million is nothing. And yeah, some people are talking about the characters being added to the shop as opposed to the loot boxes being added to the shop. I don't, based on my reading of it, that's not what it seemed like. So I doubt that they're being forced to add characters to the shop with this, but if they did, that would be quite interesting. It would be really silly to see Genshin put up Venti for $360. Just as like a formality, but it's always cheaper to go for it in the gacha because you have a chance of getting it cheaper. That would be really silly, but I mean, maybe they have to do it. I don't think so. That's not the reading I got. The reading was you have to purchase loot boxes with real currency, which are the primo gem, which are the Acquainted Fates. Not that you have to be able to purchase the actual character with real money, although I think that would be better too. So let me know your thoughts. Take care. Bye for now.